Hi there, I'm Antonella, a 32-year-old thriving in the interior design world. I thought I had the perfect family until everything changed when my brother Jake met Vanessa. Antonella, you won't believe it, I've met the most amazing woman. Jake gushed over the phone. I was thrilled for him. Jake and I have always been close, sharing everything. Our parents raised us to be a tight-knit family, always having each other's backs. Fast forward 3 months, and Jake drops a bombshell. We're getting married. I nearly choked on my coffee. Married? Jake, you barely know her. But he was head over heels. The wedding was a whirlwind, and suddenly I had a sister-in-law. At first, Vanessa seemed charming, full of smiles and politeness. But something felt off. During a family dinner, I noticed how she subtly steered conversations. Oh, Antonella's still single. Don't worry, you'll find someone eventually, she'd say, always with a smile, always with a hint of judgment. I brushed it off, but the comments kept coming, cloaked in sweetness but laced with criticism. One day, while helping Mom in the kitchen, I overheard Vanessa talking to Jake. Honey, don't you think Antonella's job is a bit unstable? I'm just worried about her future. My blood boiled. I had built my business from the ground up, and it was thriving. Things got worse at Jake's birthday party. Vanessa accidentally spilled wine on my new dress. Oh, I'm so clumsy, but don't worry, it probably wasn't that expensive, right? She said. I forced a smile, but inside, I was seething. Later that night, I vented to my best friend Megan. I'm telling you, Meg, something's not right with Vanessa. Megan nodded. I've noticed it too, the way she looks at you when she thinks no one's watching, like she's sizing up the competition. I sighed, but Jake's so happy, and Mom and Dad adore her. Am I just being paranoid? Trust your gut, Antonella, Megan said. Keep your eyes open. And so I did. I watched as Vanessa slowly warmed her way into every aspect of our family life. She'd volunteer to help Dad with his finances, critiquing his methods, and reorganize Mom's kitchen, claiming it was more efficient. But it was her effect on Jake that worried me the most. My once outgoing brother became quieter, always deferring to Vanessa's opinions. During a shopping trip with Mom, I tried to broach the subject. Mom, have you noticed anything different about Jake lately? She hesitated. Well, he's a married man now. Change is normal. But Mom, it's like he's not even the same person anymore. Oh, sweetie, you're just not used to sharing him. Give it time. But time only made things worse. Family gatherings became minefields of passive-aggressive comments and tense silences. I tried to keep the peace, biting my tongue when Vanessa made snide remarks, but the stress was getting to me. My design suffered, and I started losing sleep. One night, after a particularly brutal family dinner where Vanessa subtly criticized everything from my outfit to my latest project, I broke down in my apartment. The phone rang. It was Megan. Antonella, are you okay? You seemed off at dinner. I couldn't hold back anymore. Everything spilled out, my suspicions, my fears, the way Vanessa was slowly isolating Jake from us. Megan listened, then said firmly, Enough is enough, Antonella. It's time to start digging. There's more to Vanessa than meets the eye, and we're going to find out what it is. As I hung up, I felt a mix of determination and dread. I loved my family, and I'd do anything to protect them, even if it meant exposing the wolf in sheep's clothing that had infiltrated our lives. Little did I know, things were about to get much, much worse. The annual family barbecue at my parents' house was supposed to be a day of relaxation and bonding. Instead, it turned into a nightmare I'll never forget. Everyone was gathered in the backyard, Dad at the grill, Mom setting out salads, and Jake helping Vanessa with her chair. I was chatting with my cousin when Vanessa's voice cut through the chatter. Antonella, sweetie, could you grab me a drink? You're not doing anything important, right? I was about to respond. When Mom called everyone to eat, the tension was already simmering. Throughout the meal, Vanessa kept making little digs. This potato salad is delicious, Mom. Much better than the store-bought one Antonella brought last time. I saw red. At least I contribute something, Vanessa. What exactly do you bring to these gatherings besides criticism? The table fell silent. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Well, I bring class, for one thing, something you clearly lack. Before I could stop myself, I shot back class. Is that what you call being a manipulative bitch? Antonella. Jake interrupted, shocked. Vanessa stood up, tears welling in her eyes. I can't believe you'd say such things after everything I've done for this family. She stormed off, Jake following close behind. I sat there fuming as my parents gave me disappointed looks. Later, as I was helping clean up, Vanessa cornered me in the kitchen. Listen here, you little nobody. Jake is mine now, and soon this whole family will see you for the jealous, pathetic person you are. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're delusional, Vanessa. That's when she grabbed a fistful of my hair, yanking hard. Am I? Let's see what Jake thinks about his precious sister now. She dragged me by the hair into the living room, where Jake was talking with Dad. Jake, look what your sister did. She attacked me. Vanessa cried. Jake's eyes widened in disbelief. Antonella, what the hell? I tried to explain, but Vanessa's crocodile tears drowned me out. I think you should leave, Antonella. Now. I left, humiliated and angry. The next day, Megan came over, finding me still in yesterday's clothes, surrounded by ice cream containers. That's it. We're not letting her get away with this. It's time to fight back. Over the next week, Megan helped me start digging into Vanessa's past. We found discrepancies in her stories. The college she claimed to attend had no record of her, and the company she says she worked for didn't exist. Then luck struck. While grabbing coffee, I bumped into Sarah, who introduced herself as Vanessa's former coworker. Oh, you know Vanessa? How is she, still ruining lives? My eyes widened. What do you mean? Sarah spilled everything. Vanessa had a history of workplace bullying, manipulating coworkers and bosses alike. She'd even gotten Sarah fired by planting evidence of theft. Be careful, Sarah warned. Vanessa's dangerous when cornered. I left the cafe, my mind reeling. I had proof now, proof that Vanessa wasn't who she claimed to be. But as I reached for my phone to call Jake, I hesitated. Would he even believe me? Or would this just drive him further away? As I stood there, torn between protecting my brother and preserving what was left of our relationship, I realized this was just the beginning. Vanessa's mask had slipped, and now I had to decide just how far I was willing to go to expose the truth. After weeks of internal debate, I finally made the call. Mike, a private investigator recommended by a client, agreed to meet me at a quiet coffee shop. So you want me to dig into your sister-in-law's past? He asked, glancing at the folder I pushed across the table. Here's everything I've found so far, but I need more, I replied. Mike whistled as he flipped through the pages. Lady, your sister-in-law's got more red flags than a Chinese parade. I'll see what I can do. 2 weeks later, Mike called with news that made my blood run cold. Antonella, your sister-in-law isn't just a liar. She's a professional con artist. Multiple identities, fraud charges in 3 states, and get this, she's been using your brother's business to launder money. My hands shook as I processed the information. How? How was she doing that? Fake invoices, ghost employees, the works. Your brother's company is a ticking time bomb. I thanked Mike and hung up, my mind racing. I had to tell Jake, but how? Before I could decide, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Family dinner tonight. Vanessa insists. Please come. Great, just great. The tension at dinner was thick enough to cut with a knife. Vanessa was all smiles. Her eyes were cold when they landed on me. Jake, honey, tell them about our vacation plans, Vanessa said with a tight smile. Jake cleared his throat. Well, we're thinking of taking an extended trip, maybe 6 months. I nearly choked on my wine. 6 months? What about the business? Vanessa's smile tightened. Oh, Jake can run things remotely, right, sweetie? I saw the puppet strings, but Jake just nodded along. After dinner, I cornered Jake in the kitchen. This trip, are you sure about this? He sighed. Antonella, please. Vanessa thinks it'll be good for us to have some time away from everything. I bit my tongue, realizing how deep Vanessa's claws were dug in. Over the next few days, I reached out to Sarah and other victims I had discovered. We formed a support group, sharing stories and evidence. We need to stop her, Sarah insisted during one of our meetings, before she ruins more lives. I nodded, a plan forming. I think I know how. I spent the next week preparing, gathering every shred of evidence. But Vanessa wasn't stupid. She must have sensed something was up. One evening, as I was leaving my office, I found my car tires slashed. A note on the windshield read, "Back off, or next time it won't be just the tires." I called Megan, my hands shaking. She knows Megan. Vanessa knows I'm onto her. Megan's voice was steely. Then we move now, before she can do any more damage. I agreed, setting the plan in motion. I called my parents, Jake, and extended family. Emergency family meeting tomorrow night. It's about Jake's safety. As I hung up, doubt crept in. Was I doing the right thing? What if this backfired? But then I remembered Jake's defeated look and how Vanessa had manipulated everyone around her. No, this had to be done. The next day dragged on forever. I triple-checked my evidence and rehearsed what I'd say. As evening approached, I received a text from Jake. Vanessa's not feeling well. We might not make it. My heart sank. Of course, she tried to avoid this. I texted back, please, Jake, it's important. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't. Hours passed with no response. I was about to give up hope when I heard a car pull up outside my apartment. I peeked out the window. Jake was helping Vanessa out of the car. She looked pale, leaning on him dramatically. As Jake and Vanessa entered my apartment, the tension was palpable. My parents, Megan, Sarah, and a few other faces were already there. Vanessa clearly didn't expect this. What's going on? Jake asked, confusion evident in his voice. I took a deep breath. Jake, everyone, it's time you knew the truth about Vanessa. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Antonella, you're being ridiculous. But I cut her off, pulling out a stack of documents. Vanessa, or should I say Amanda, or maybe Lisa? How many identities do you have? Jake's face paled as I laid out the evidence. The charges, the stolen identities, the money laundering through his business. Sarah and the others shared their stories of Vanessa's manipulation and deceit. Vanessa tried to interject, her voice rising hysterically. They're lying. Jake, baby, you know me. But Jake's disbelief was turning to anger. Is it true? Have you been using my company to launder money? Vanessa's mask finally cracked. Her sweet demeanor vanished, replaced by cold fury. You're all idiots. Jake, you were so easy to manipulate, and the rest of you are pathetic. Mom gasped. Dad's fists clenched, and Jake looked utterly broken. Vanessa made a dash for the door, but Sarah blocked her path. Not so fast. The police are on their way. The next few hours were a blur. Vanessa was arrested, screaming threats as she was led away. Jake sat silently, processing everything. Days turned into weeks. Jake filed for divorce and worked tirelessly to save his business from the mess Vanessa had created. I was by his side every step of the way. Months later, as we celebrated the successful relaunch of Jake's company, he pulled me aside. Antonella, I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner. Thank you for not giving up on me. I hugged him tight, feeling our bond stronger than ever. As I looked around at my family, now free from Vanessa's toxic influence, I realized the importance of trusting your instincts and standing up to those who tried to tear you down. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. We were free, we were together, and we were stronger for having weathered this storm. And that's the end of Antonella's story. Now, I have a question for you. If you discovered your sibling's spouse was a criminal, would you expose them or keep quiet to protect your sibling's happiness? What's more important, family peace or justice? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is a tough one, and I'm really curious to hear what you do. If you enjoyed this wild ride, smash that like button. Hey everyone, I'm Olivia. I'm 17, top of my class, and completely obsessed with art and history. My roots covered in posters of Roman architecture and Renaissance paintings. Yeah, I'm that kid. Olivia, dinner's ready. My mom's voice echoed up the stairs. I sighed, putting down my sketchbook. Another family dinner, another chance to feel like the invisible child. As I walked into the dining room, my sister Megan was already there, phone in hand, probably texting her latest boyfriend. How was your day, Megan? Mom asked, completely ignoring me. You, boring. Mr. Johnson gave me detention again. He's such a jerk, Megan replied. Dad chimed in. Don't worry, sweetie. We'll talk to the principal about that teacher. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Megan skips class, gets detention, and they want to blame the teacher. Classic. And you, Olivia? Anything new? Grandpa asked, giving me a wink. Finally, someone remembered I existed. Actually, yeah, I got an A on my Italian test. That's nice, dear, Mom interrupted, turning back to Megan. Now, about your upcoming cheer competition. And just like that, I was invisible again. But hey, at least I have my grandparents. They understood me. Later that evening, I was in my room, counting the money in my Rome fund jar. Just $200 more, I muttered to myself. I'm so close to affording that trip. A knock on my door startled me. It was Grandma. Come in, I called quickly, hiding the jar. Olivia, dear, your grandfather and I have a surprise for you. My heart raced. Could it be? No way. Grandpa appeared behind her, holding an envelope. We know how hard you've been working and how much you love Italian culture, so. He handed me the envelope. With shaking hands, I opened it and nearly fainted. 2 tickets to Rome. Oh my God, is this real? Am I dreaming? Grandma laughed. It's very real, sweetheart. You deserve it. I jumped up, hugging them both. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't believe it. Just then, Megan barged in. What's all the noise about? I couldn't contain my excitement. Grandma and Grandpa got me tickets to Rome for graduation. Megan's face darkened. What? But that's not fair. I'm the one who needs a vacation after all the stress I've been under. I ignored her, too happy to let her ruin this moment. I need to start planning. There's so much to see. As I rattled off my must-visit list, I caught a glimpse of my parents in the doorway. They didn't look happy, but I was too excited to care. For once, something amazing was happening to me and nothing could bring me down. I woke up the next morning still riding high. The Rome tickets were safely tucked under my pillow. As I got ready for school, I couldn't stop grinning. Olivia, come down here please, Mom called from downstairs. I bounded down, expecting to discuss trip plans. Instead, I found my whole family in the living room, serious looks on their faces. What's going on? I asked, my smile fading. Dad cleared his throat. We've been thinking about the Rome tickets. Yeah, isn't it awesome? I can't wait to. We think it would be better if Megan went instead, Mom interrupted. The world stopped. What? Megan's been under a lot of stress lately, Dad explained. She could really use this trip. I turned to my grandparents, hoping for support. They looked as shocked as I felt. But those were my tickets, I stammered. Grandma and Grandpa gave them to me. Megan smirked. Don't be selfish, Olivia. I need this more than you. This isn't right, Grandpa interjected. We gave those tickets to Olivia as a reward for her hard work. Mom sighed. Dad, you don't understand. Megan's been struggling. This could really turn things around for her. And what about Olivia? Grandma demanded. What about her dreams? She'll be fine, Dad waved off. She's always fine. The argument escalated. Voices raised, accusations flew. I stood there numb as my dream crumbled around me. Fine, I finally said, my voice barely a whisper. Take the stupid tickets. I ran upstairs, slamming my door. Tears streamed down my face as I collapsed on my bed. How could they do this to me? The next few days were a blur. I went through the motions at school, avoided family dinners, and spent most of my time locked in my room. One afternoon, as I was mindlessly scrolling through my phone, I overheard my parents arguing in their room. We can't keep doing this, John, Mom hissed. The credit cards are maxed out, the bank's calling about the mortgage. I know, but what choice do we have? We can't let Megan's mistakes ruin her future. My ears perked up. Mistakes. What mistakes? Maybe if we dip into Olivia's college fund again. I gasped, then quickly covered my mouth. My college fund. They'd been using my money. Suddenly, everything started clicking into place. The new car Megan got last year, the expensive cheerleading camp, the constant shopping sprees. I felt sick. They'd been stealing from me to cover Megan's screw-ups. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind raced with questions. How long had this been going on? How much had they taken? And most importantly, what was I going to do about it? As I lay there, staring at the ceiling, a plan began to form. If they thought they could walk all over me, they had another thing coming. Two can play at this game, I whispered to myself. The next morning, I put on a fake smile and joined the family for breakfast. Megan was babbling about her upcoming Rome trip. I'm thinking of extending my stay, she said casually. Maybe hit up Paris too. Mom and Dad exchanged worried glances. I bit my tongue, storing away this information. As I headed out for school, I made a detour. It was time to pay a visit to the bank and find out exactly what was going on with my accounts. The game was on, and I was playing to win. The bank visit was a real eye-opener. My college fund was practically empty. It was time to call in the big guns. Jake, I need your help, I said, cornering my best friend at his locker. What's up, Liv? You look like you've seen a ghost. I lowered my voice. I need you to hack into my parents' financial records. Jake's eyes widened. Whoa, that's heavy. What's going on? I spilled everything, the Rome tickets, the overheard conversation, the empty college fund. Jake listened, his face growing more serious by the second. I'm in, he said finally. Meet me at the library after school. For the next week, Jake and I spent every free moment digging into my family's finances. What we found made my stomach turn. Look at this, Jake pointed at his laptop screen. Your dad's been siphonning money from the family business for years. I leaned in, squinting at the numbers. But where's it all going? Jake pulled up another window. Looks like most of it's been covering Megan's expenses, unpaid credit cards, car payments, even bail money. Bail money? I gasped. What the hell has she been up to? As we dug deeper, the picture got uglier. Dad had been cooking the books, taking out shady loans, even dabbling in some not-so-legal side hustles to keep up with Megan's lifestyle and cover their mounting debts. This is insane, I muttered, running my hands through my hair. What am I supposed to do with all this? Jake gave me a long look. You know what you have to do, Liv. I did know, but the thought of turning in my own parents made me sick. That night, I tossed and turned, weighing my options. On one hand, they were my family. On the other, they'd stolen my future, betrayed my trust, and broken the law. By morning, I'd made my decision. It was time to take action. First stop, my grandparents. I laid out everything Jake and I had discovered. I can't believe it, Grandma whispered, tears in her eyes. How could they do this? Grandpa's face was grim. What do you need from us, Olivia? Your support, I said, and maybe a place to stay when this all goes down. They agreed without hesitation. Next, I approached Ms. Rodriguez, my favorite teacher. She'd always been in my corner, and I needed an adult on my side who wasn't family. This is a serious situation, Olivia, she said after I explained everything. Are you sure you want to go through with this? I nodded. I have to for my future, and honestly, for Megan's too. This can't go on. Ms. Rodriguez sighed. All right, I'll help however I can. With my allies in place, Jake and I started formulating our plan. We need to gather irrefutable evidence, Jake said. Something they can't wiggle out of. I thought for a moment. The family reunion next month. Everyone will be there, including Dad's business partners. Jake grinned. Perfect. We can set up hidden cameras, maybe even get some of them to incriminate themselves on tape. As we hashed out the details, a mix of excitement and dread bubbled in my stomach. This was really happening. You okay? Jake asked, noticing my expression. I took a deep breath. Yeah. It's just, once we do this, there's no going back. Everything changes. Jake squeezed my hand. Sometimes change is necessary. You've got this. Liv. I nodded, steeling myself. The countdown to the family reunion, and the biggest confrontation of my life, had begun. The day of the family reunion arrived, and my heart was pounding. Jake and I had spent weeks meticulously setting everything up. Hidden cameras were in place, and we had a fail-safe plan to expose everything. As family members and Dad's business partners began to arrive, I plastered on a fake smile. Great to see you, Uncle Bob. How's the golf game? Meanwhile, Megan was holding court in the living room, bragging about her upcoming Rome trip. It's going to be so amazing. I might even stay for a whole month. I caught Mom and Dad exchanging worried glances. Showtime. I clinked my glass to get everyone's attention. I'd like to make a toast to family and to the truth. With that, I nodded to Jake, who hit play on his laptop. Suddenly, the TV screen lit up with damning financial records and recorded conversations. Dad's face went pale. What is this? This, I said, my voice shaking but determined, is the truth about where our family's money has been going. The room erupted into chaos. Dad's business partners were shouting, demanding explanations. Aunt Susan was crying, and Megan was having a full-blown meltdown. You can't do this to me, she screamed. How am I supposed to pay for my DUI lawyer? Then the room fell silent. Mom, what DUI? Megan's eyes widened as she realized what she had said. I mean. But it was too late. The floodgates had opened. Megan spilled everything. The drunk driving, the shoplifting, the credit card fraud. With every word, Mom and Dad looked more and more defeated. Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance. Miss Rodriguez had come through, alerting the authorities at the perfect moment. As the police entered, reading warrant of removals and slapping on handcuffs, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. This was justice, but it was also the end of my family as I knew it. Grandpa put his arm around me. "You did the right thing, Olivia. We're so proud of you." The next few months were a whirlwind of legal proceedings. Dad and Megan both faced charges, while Mom got off with probation for her lesser role. Through it all, my grandparents were my rock. One evening, Grandma said, "How would you feel about us being your legal guardians?" I hugged her tightly, tears in my eyes. "I'd love that." As the dust settled, something unexpected happened. The judge ordered that all stolen funds be returned, including my college fund. And remember those Rome tickets? They were mine again. So that summer, instead of moping over lost dreams, I found myself strolling through the Roman Forum with my grandparents, gelato in hand, to new beginnings. Grandpa raised his comb in a toast. To justice and gelato. I grinned. Perfect. Fast forward a few years, and life looks pretty different. I'm in my junior year at a top art school, interning at a prestigious gallery, and my first solo show was coming up next month. Meanwhile, Dad is serving time, Mom's working a minimum wage job, and Megan, last I heard, was struggling through community college, finally facing the consequences of her actions. As for me, I'm planning my next trip to Italy, this time to study for my master's in Florence. Turns out, sometimes losing a dream can lead you to an even better one. So that's my story. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't pretty, but standing up for yourself is always worth it in the end. And that's the end of Olivia's story. Now I have a question for you. If you were in Olivia's position, would you have exposed your family's crimes knowing it could tear your family apart and lead to legal consequences for your parents and sister? Or would you have kept quiet to protect your family even at the cost of your own future? Share your thoughts.